Hey guys, welcome to Neat Movie News. My name is Dean Thomas, and one of my most anticipated movies of the year, the second DC movie of the year, Suicide Squad. It's now in theaters. We can all go and see it. And like I said, this movie was one of my most anticipated of the year. From the minute that first trailer came out at Comic Con 2 years ago or so, I was locked in. Since then, the marketing's been great. But then the early reviews started coming out saying it was a mess, and the Rotten Tomato score was at like 30%. And then there was the reports about how there was multiple edits going on. There was David Ayer's version, and then there was kind of the studio's version that was trying to fit the fun kind of poppy tone that the more recent trailers have had. And that's my biggest problem with this movie, and that's one of the only reasons that I don't think I loved this movie is because you could feel the conflicting cuts and how they tried to kind of compromise them, because the first 20 minutes or so to me are really weird and kind of just all over the place, and it just kind of that's where the mess for me came in, because you get these really flashy colorful graphics and really quick edits and really weird things as you get through kind of the more or less the report on each of the characters. More or less it's like a file report on them, who they are, what they've done, why they're in prison, blah 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 blah. And to me it was then that I got really weird, because the edits, like I said, are really fast. You're flying through them, and even a lot of the stuff that you see in the trailers of some scenes that they play during this part, but they're edited way differently and they don't work as well, because where some scenes that worked in the trailer were really kind of slow and drawn out and it really built up this atmosphere, this one just cuts all over the place, and it kind of gets some of the message of those parts kind of gets muddled because it's just kind of a compiled mess of scenes. But once you get through that, and you're kind of through getting to know the characters through the basic stuff, and you really start to get into what this movie is, I found myself having a lot of fun. Now, the scale of this movie is nowhere near the size of Batman v Superman or even a Man of Steel. It feels like a much smaller movie. It feels like just a flat out action movie. And that's where I had a lot of fun with this. Because once the Suicide Squad is one being kind of compiled, but then they're together, their chemistry, you so many interviews have come out and you see how great of friends these actors have all become, and you can really feel that on screen because they're all great together. The dialogue between each of them, the relationships between each individual character, that's so much fun, and I wanted more and more and more of that, which is one of the reasons I actually forgave one of the other problems I had with this movie, and that's the villain. The villain, well, I don't want to spoil too much with saying who it is or what it is pretty weak. Motivations aren't really there. Their motivations are thrown in really quickly, and you really don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. It's just suddenly they're doing it because, more or less, this movie needed something for the Suicide Squad to do. And that's what I liked about this movie, or why I can forgive this movie about the bad villain, is because I didn't care about it. I just wanted to see more of the Suicide Squad doing whatever, and this villain just gave them something to do, and that's what I liked. And besides, it's kind of hard to make a really big villain that's gonna work really really well when you've got some of the best villains already as the leads in the movie. So I can see that was a little bit difficult, but I mean the action is so great when they all have their own unique fighting styles. It all comes across really well. The way the action is done, you're kind of like pumped up. It's kind of like a rock concert. I really love the score of this movie, not the soundtrack, but the actual instrumental score, because it was like a rock concert. It kind of got you pumped up and you're ready to go. For me, the score of the soundtrack, excuse me, of this movie, the songs, how they're coming up with original songs and all that, felt a little forced. They would just kind of play and then they'd end, and it was okay. That really didn't need to be there. So where Guardians of the Galaxy and made the soundtrack something really cool and really big part of the story, this one felt forced in there, to be honest with you. But not a huge deal. And to me, obviously, I think a lot of people, you guys probably heard, but Harley Quinn steals this movie. Margot Robbie kills this role. She's so, I don't know, you love her, but you know she's absolutely crazy, and that's the good thing about this. The great thing about her performance, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, is because that's exactly what her character is. Even to the other characters in the movie, they want to like her because she's so fun, she's so bubbly, she's got such a crazy personality, but they know she's crazy and she's bad underneath, and they don't want any part of that. I thought Will Smith was actually really great in this movie. Deadshot's one of the funnier characters, and he really kind of moves the story along. But two standouts for me actually were Amanda Waller and Rick Flag, because if those characters don't work, I don't think this movie works, because they're the one really driving the Suicide Squad and what they need to do, and it really kind of helped make the relationships go. And those two characters really stood out to me, and I was I'm really hoping to see more of them going forward in the future. And then obviously now to the Joker. Jared Leto's got the impossible task of following up Heath Ledger as the Joker. And well, I'm not sold on the Joker, this interpretation of the Joker yet, mostly because he's not in the movie a ton, so it's a small sample size. Now, he's much more of a crime boss. He's also very creepy and he's very psychotic. I mean, the guy just will on a dime, he switches what he's doing. He'll switch from, happy to just an absolute psychopath, which was great. But to me, he got a little cartoony at times actually. It was just kind of like he was trying too hard to be this weird crazy clown guy. But when he got intense and his voice would kind of drop and get kind of deep and growly, I really like that. So I'm hoping maybe we get more of that and they lose a little bit less of this cartoony version. But for me, guys, overall, Suicide Squad is actually a movie I really had a lot of fun with, just as a pure action movie. The beginning's a little bit of a mess, the villain's kind of weak, but other than that, the performances and the characters, the chemistry between the characters is all really great, and I kind of want to just go see this movie again, just for the aspect of it being fun. I thought it did some nice things to further the DCEU. Batman in this movie is not in it a ton, but when he's in it, I like what he's all about. It feels like actual Batman is in there. There's a little bit of, not tons, but a little bit of world building going on that I really appreciated for Suicide Squad to move the DCEU forward. So for me, Suicide Squad is a 73%. I actually had a really good time watching it. It's got its problems. It's a little messy at times. I wish they didn't try to combine two different edits, and I wish they would have just gone with a darker version that I think airs, which was Ayer's version, because to me about 75% of the movie is that, and that's what I like the most. So I wish that would have happened. But for me, overall, still the movie ended up being an enjoyable time. So I'm gonna give it a 73%. All right, your turn, guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably seen this movie, and you're just listening, to hear somebody else's opinion. So I'd love to hear yours. Start throwing some stuff in the comments below, and let me know what you think about this movie. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe this review will change your mind, and maybe you'll go and check it out now, because I think you will enjoy it. I think you'll have a good time seeing it. So that's my review of Suicide Squad, guys. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at NeatMovieNews. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next time.